Welcome to my roller coaster review of Chulainn at Tayto Park. So last summer I was lucky enough to go to Ireland and visit this beautiful park in the town of Kilbrew, about a half hour north of Dublin. So today I'll be giving my thoughts on their new for 2015 Gravity Group Woody and how it stacks up to the other wooden coasters I've ridden. So upon boarding these pretty comfortable Timberliner trains, you leave the station and make a tight left-hand turn into the chain lift. Rising up this 105-foot tall hill, you can get a pretty good look around you at the Irish cornfields and the rest of the park and the zoo behind you. I haven't spent my time on the lift hill readjusting my restraint because in order to get more room for airtime, I would push my phone, I'd put it in my pocket at such an angle to prevent the operator from pushing my restraint down too far and stapling me to the point of pain. And once I had enough time for, airtime and comfort, the train crested this top of the lift hill and began the 102-foot, 65-degree drop. This drop is absolutely the best in the back row, as with most all drops. The airtime wasn't amazing, but it was among the strongest of any I felt on a wooden roller coaster, which isn't saying much considering I haven't been on too many outstanding wooden coasters. If I could compare this drop to a steel coaster, I'd strangely compare it to the drop on Vortex at Kings Island, which has some pretty strong sustained floater airtime in the back of the train. Immediately following that drop, the train enters this little airtime bump that it totally hauls ass over. There's a nice strong pop of ejector airtime here, especially in the front of the train. The element that follows probably has the strongest laterals on the ride. It's this brutal left-hand turn that banks a little too late. It's also best experience in the front row for the best laterals, and some nice floater as you rise into it. Those strong laterals persist until the train rises into this nice floater hill that delivers no matter where you sit on the ride. And it's in this valley that the train drops into that is kind of the first time I really realized the amount of positive G's in this ride, which are very good on all these valleys. But in these valleys are where the ride is at its roughest, presumably because it's where the train puts the most stress on the track. And it's because of this rough intensity where the re-rideability factor was limited for me. I couldn't really handle a lot of the rough intensity. It wasn't bad, I say. It didn't prevent me from riding 13 times in a few hours. But, I could try it every seat, but still, it was pretty rough and it really limited the re-rideability. Ha! Knocked unless you finish the POV. So after those positives in that valley, the most intense and roughest part of the ride begins. It's this triple down, if you can call it that. It's really just a crazy group of airtime hills with turns in between them, delivering some pretty good ejector airtime, pretty comparable to that of Mystic Timbers. It's also pretty comparable to other good GCIs I haven't ridden. But what really sets us apart from Mystic Timbers for me is the insane laterals and positives in between each hill. It's probably the most intense group of airtime hills I've ever experienced. Not really just for their intense airtime, but for everything else in between the airtime, like the positives and laterals. Next comes a very gimmicky element that the park foolishly marketed as an inversion. It really didn't feel like an inversion at all, and there's a huge kick in the middle of the element where the whole train feels like it splits in half, hot dog style, and jolts this ride is pretty good. If it were smoother, then this element would be pretty great, and I could actually enjoy the 115-degree banked curve, but for now, it's just a mindless element that could use a rework. Thankfully, though, this is the last of the brutal elements on the ride. And after this, all the elements start to blend together. It's not that I'm lazy creating this review, it's that my points would become redundant as I describe the same elements over and over, each with some nice pops of ejector, some floater, some intensity, and laterals. But something that really impressed me with this ride is its length, coming in at over 1 minute from drop to brakes, which is pretty long for a wooden coaster. It's no Voyage, but it's pretty long, and I've not been on Voyage, so I should have even said that. It really feels like that it could end like right here, where it drops you again and you go through a solid helix that looks similar to a smaller Legend at Holiday World. The final drop takes place in a tunnel, which makes for a great ending for this excellent ride. I currently rank Chulainn as my second favorite wooden coaster overall, which isn't saying much. I've only been on 14 wooden coasters as of right now, and only like 5 of them are considered good by everyone who rides them. But that being said, I give this coaster at least a solid 9 out of 10. I can best compare it to Mystic Timbers as they were both very new when I rode them and they're both modern wooden coasters. So I find Mystic Timbers to be more re-rideable and more comfortable, but Chulainn is a much more intense, longer ride. So that about wraps up my review of Chulainn at Tayto Park. I really hope you guys enjoy my first try-hard coaster review with background music and everything. I spent a set amount of time making this,